Oh, here we go. Hold on. Did you share this on your wall?
I will now. So
Yes,
I'm
but I think
very
I
excited.
tagged you.
Yep.
Okay, so here we are. Okay. We are a little bit early. Hey everyone, welcome to Wisdom Talks. I am Sheila Zoe. Nothing is so warm and so inviting, yet so challenging. I'm sorry, that's like I had to put an alarm. So nothing is so warm and so inviting, yet so challenging and poignant as a powerful story told well. With us today is Katzy Serrano,
What's
founder
up?
of Organic Evangelist. Katzy, please tell us a little bit about your background and what you're doing. What's your why, Katzy?
Awesome. Thank you, Sheila, for having me on. This is my first ever show, and it's an honor to be invited like onto your platform because I love what you're doing and just really empowering women into like their call, into their identity. And I've just been watching you from afar, and absolutely love and bless what you're doing. So,
Oh,
welcome
thank you.
everybody. And so, hello to you guys in the Philippines. I will be seeing you guys next year, hopefully. So actually, we
Yes.
have relatives in Cebu and
Mm,
also in Mindanao, and my parents are in Luzon right now. So yeah,
mm,
I missed it there. But a little bit about me. My name is Katzy. It's short for my long Filipino name, which means justice in Tagalog. So go and Google that. What-
wow.
yeah. So yeah, I was actually born in Quezon City, but migrated here with my parents when I was 3 years old. So I was basically born in the Philippines, raised here. So hence you don't really hear my
Where is here?
here.
Where is
Oh, Orange
here?
County, California, Garden Grove. I live
Oh,
right
yeah.
across Disneyland, and we see the fireworks almost every night. Not right now since Disneyland is closed, but yeah. So what I
Yeah.
do, yeah. So
Mm,
what I do is I'm actually in ministry as a vocation. I left my
mm,
9 to 5 job back in October 2018, and actually started Organic Evangelist back in late September of last year. So this is very new. This is really new to
mm.
me, and I'm really excited just to actually continue on with this because I really feel like the Lord is raising up effective communicators that will take the good news everywhere they go. So
Wow, amazing. I really love the way you deliver things. I think you're a very awesome communicator. So I think what do you call this? This title, Your Story Matters, really suits you well,
it
you
really
know?
does.
Hmm.
It really
So
does.
yes, okay. Without further ado, I'm going to ask you a question. So a lot of people never really thought about their own story. Why do you think their story matters?
Well, I mean, our story matters because I truly believe that the author of our story, right, intends for us to actually tell it in a way that reflects the goodness of the author, which is God. So he really
Mm,
desires to actually showcase and show off his glory through us. And so part of that is actually telling the story of his goodness and redemption through our lives. So I've heard
mm,
many stories before, and how many of you guys have just read a story or read a biography that absolutely inspired you to actually go move into action or to think differently? And so
mm,
each and every one of us has a story, and we have to embrace it, and we have to showcase it to the world. If everyone would
mm,
just actually embrace their own chapter in their lives, and it doesn't even have to be a big platform. It could be just maybe even to your children, which will actually pass that on to the children's children, and you leave a legacy because of your story. So you don't have to be a big name author or speaker or pastor or even somebody famous, but your story matters because um, your children, let's just say your children, if you don't have children, your spiritual children are waiting on you to actually
mm.
communicate that. The world is actually waiting for you to communicate your story of redemption, your story of how God really has worked in your life. So
Mm. Fantastic. I was actually working, and the first time that I was really fascinated about a story was when I want to say hi to everybody that is here. Wait, Nathaniel Wayne is saying hi,
hey,
Kathy. Katzy Serrano
Nathaniel.
in the house. And then Gail is saying, "Love this. Everyone's story matters." Oh, Gail, I was chatting with Gail. She's really awesome.
Oh, awesome.
Yes, she is. She's very new to Hormodex, but now she is doing her challenge, which is pretty awesome. So, yeah, welcome
Okay.
to Wisdom Talks,
What's
Gail.
up, guys?
Yes. So the first time I was fascinated with the story was when, I was working with this boss in Makati, Manila, and she actually brought us to. I forgot the mall, but it's something somewhere in Forbes. But she was grabbing this. It was not her own story per se, but the fact that she was gathering us, all of us, in. We were watching a movie. We went to the library. We love books, and then she was bringing this story from Shell. Silverstein. Maybe I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it was the I was fascinated with the story. It was the missing piece meets the big O. It was like a children's story. So she was bringing it in, and we were sitting beside her, and she just told the story. It's a children's book, very short, and a lot of illustrations, but I was fascinated by it, But this is another level because you're telling everybody that their own story really matters. And I think a lot of people want to know why. So I just want to say, I want to ask you first, apart from Jesus, whose story really made a huge impact in your life?
Yeah, so growing up as a little boy, I remember doing like a book report, or not book report, but like a biography on Martin Luther King Jr. And so I really delved into his life and like just a story of how he came about being like such a strong leader in the civil rights movement. And so, I mean, you guys have heard of like the "I Have a Dream" speech, right? And so it's really just a prophetic call, a prophetic signal for
Mm,
reconciliation. And so without Martin Luther King, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I,
yeah.
I, I like his story of just his stand on justice and equality and fairness and just really being a voice for those that did not have a voice actually really inspired me. And so,
Mm,
just from his movement sprang forth other civil rights movements and really just reformed society. And
mm,
so this guy, I mean, he just grew up in a small town as a Baptist preacher, right?
yes.
But he was passionate enough to
That's
stand up
awesome.
for what he believes in and communicate
Mm.
that to the world. So
Hmm. I think his story when he said I had a dream, it actually reverberated throughout the entire world,
mm,
and it made him a legend.
yeah,
Just
exactly.
dreaming about it. So my next question would
Yeah.
be, what was your dream when you were a kid? We wanted to know more about more insight on where you came from and what was your dream, Katzy.
Yeah, so I mean, growing up, my dad was a lawyer in the Philippines. And
Wow.
so I actually wanted to be a lawyer, but when I started like reading, kind of researching on how to become one, I'm like, no, it's not for me. Too hard, too much books. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Mm,
So, but really growing up as a kid, Sheila, like to be honest, even though I wasn't a Christian, I became like a Christian at the age of 16.
mm-hmm.
Before that though, I felt like there was this inner voice like that kept saying, you are made to do great things. You're made to do great things. You're not the normal kid. You're not a normal child. And so I'm like, and I hung on to that. I don't even know what I was gonna do, but I know that I was somehow gonna be used to impact the world, that I was gonna do something great in the world that nobody has ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my dream. I had
Mm-hmm.
other dreams too of being like a pilot, astronaut, but what kid didn't? So, but
Yeah.
that inner voice, I
Mm-hmm.
really feel like that was from the Lord. That was from God
Mm-hmm.
Himself. And so I just feel like I'm caught, like every day I'm just saying, okay, Lord, what is my obedience to you today? What is my yes to you today? I'm not like really focused on the big, but actually just on the daily and just really
Mm-hmm.
see what God has for me. So yeah,
Mm.
and staying
Oh my
faithful.
gosh. You know what? I thought I'm the only special girl in the world because I hear this. I like no that whisper that you're supposed to be
Yeah,
something great.
yeah.
I heard it so many times in the most frustrating moments in my life when I
Mm.
was so down in my life. This voice was so strong in my ear, like you're supposed to do. It's gonna whisper to me,
Yeah,
like you're supposed to do something great, and I'm like, really? I'm just washing the dishes now. How is it gonna happen? Like, look at me now. I'm way down here. But I realized that when you place your life in the palm of His hands, and when you trust the Lord with your life, oh, he's gonna do the impossible. And I realized that the scripture is unfolding when he said you're gonna do great things more than I did. And I
yeah.
realized it's Jesus, his ministry was like the preparation took a lot of it was a long time for preparation for him.
Mhm.
And then when he was 30, that's the time he went into ministry.
Yep.
And only 3 years in ministry, but actually it impacted every one of us. And now from that seed, that seed has to die, and then we are the fruits. And now we are actually reaching out to so many people. And now recently, with the pandemic and everything, we are reaching far more because of
Yeah.
the use of the internet. I had a page which is what do you call this? I had a page which is Cebu marriage counseling. And during the first year of this month, my problem was I needed an office, and I live far away from the city, and I needed an office, and I don't want to be, I'm not the kind of person that I want to go to the office every single day. I want to be, I want to be home. So there was a struggle, but now I'm receiving a lot of people coming into my page, and they're the one asking me, "Hey, can you do Zoom with me, or can you do marriage counseling over the internet or the video?" But before they didn't want to; they want to meet me in person, but I didn't want to do that. So now the fire is on. And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't take so many marriage counseling. But okay, set that aside. I want to be able to deliver my story, Katzy,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
powerfully. But my problem is I'm afraid that it's too intense.
Mhm.
Uh, and instead of empowering everybody that
Yeah.
hears my story, it will be something that I will draw them into the drama of it all and not the story of triumph. What advice can you give to somebody like me who I want to share my story, Katzy, but I'm just afraid, like, oh my gosh, like I might tell it in such a dramatic way because it's really intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Sheila, I've actually heard your story. I think you shared it like in a video somewhere, but I
Uh-huh.
remember being drawn in, and it
Mm,
was actually it was not drawing away from the redemption. It was
mm-hmm,
actually whatever trauma and drama you face when you
mm,
bring in like the redemption, like
mm,
it like how do I word this? Like your story actually made the redemption story a whole lot better. So
wow.
like what you need to do is like not focus way too much on am I gonna draw people away, or is it gonna mess up everything? Just tell it
Mm,
in just a natural way, because you're you're the one that's unique, and God has actually written your story, and no one else has it except you. And so just be natural. You don't have to
mm,
worry. I mean, it is for, like, the Bible even says, when you stand up before people, it is a spirit of God that will speak through you. So just open your mouth, and so
mm,
we are called, like, our stories are actually solutions to the
mm,
problems we have in this world, whether you realize it or not. That inside of you
mm,
is a solution to a
mm,
problem someone else is facing, and your story can release just that.
mm. Thank you. That was really helpful. Yeah. Do you believe that someone's story is actually an invitation into the world? I remember when I was a kid, Gatsy, I didn't know this about myself, but the friends that I had, we call it barkada. I don't know how
Yeah.
uh you know they tell me that I'm not always, I can they always cannot be find me, they always cannot find me because I'm in the library or I'm in the counseling
Yeah.
uh place in the library, because I'm just reading a lot of, hey yo, what's poppin', Mikler?
What up, McClures?
Oh yes. I just had to do that. I love this guy so much. I love Mickler. He's so amazing, such energy. And Mickler, you have to come over here and
Gotta be
do an interview
on
with
the show,
me.
bro. So
You do an interview with me, but let me just get my treadmill first. I'm gonna exercise first, okay? I know your topic is gonna be like that. So anyway, so where was I? The story, like they couldn't always find me. I was in the library. I love reading stories. I love reading um fairy tales and all that. So do you believe it's an invitation to someone else's story?
oh, definitely.
Mm,
There's a one story I really love in the Bible. It was the story of the Samaritan woman at the well, right?
mm,
And she like this was like the outcast of the outcast. First of all, she was Samaritan, so the Jewish people had really no association with these type of people because they were half breeds, right? But then she was
mm,
kicked out by her very own people. She had more like I mean, for her to draw water at the well alone means that women like the other women did not like her. I mean, I believe she was a prostitute, right? Because she had, like, Jesus even pointed out that you've had many husbands, and the one you're with right now is not even your husband. And
yeah.
so Jesus ministered to her, right? Basically
Mm,
called out like everything in her life, and she was amazed. She asked, like, "Are you a prophet?" And so basically, she encountered Jesus. This was her story of, oh my gosh, she went back to her town. Look at this man. He told me everything I ever did, and
mm,
and the whole town came to believe in this Jewish Messiah. Samaritans hated the Jews, but they loved this guy because of this one woman's story. So definitely, it was an invitation to the world of the
mm,
kingdom of God from this
yeah.
woman's story. So definitely, yeah. I mean, it is an invitation to someone else's world, and through your story, through my story, right? We're called
Mm,
to reach different types of people. Okay, and so
yes.
my story can be used. Like, I mean, like how I came to know the Lord. Like for like 16 years, I was raised in a very religious house, but did not know the gospel. And I came to know the simple gospel, and that Jesus loves me, and that my eternal destiny is secured, right? And so, who could relate to that are the ones that grew up in religion that need to
Mm,
actually know the good news of Jesus Christ.
mm,
So you have your story, right?
mm,
And,
yeah.
and those people will be attracted to you. This woman at the well, she had her own story, right? And her town was attracted to this kind of story. And so, yeah, our stories actually, if you want to like put it in a spiritual sense, it's an invitation to the world of the kingdom of God.
Yes. Mm,
So,
awesome. What advice could you give? Like, for example, there's a lot of people actually wondering if their story matter, and what advice could you give for these people who maybe they're being hindered by the lack of communication skills, confidence, and insecurities? What would your advice for this kind of people?
embrace your weakness. Because that's
Ah,
where God's
yes,
grace will
that's
be
so
shown.
powerful. Sorry, my laptop is falling down. I don't even know
Got too
why.
excited. Paul, like the
Hmm.
Apostle Paul, a lot of like historians said that he was not actually a great speaker, but he embraced it because he said, I don't come in the wisdom of man, but in the demonstration of the power of God.
Wow.
And that
Wow.
he glories in his weakness because
Mm-hmm.
that's where God's grace is sufficient. I mean, if you
Mm,
want to put in a modern day example, I really
mm,
look up to this one author, pastor, prophet. His name is Chris Valentin. He said I've read many of his books, and he's a prolific writer. And
mm-hmm.
I've listened to his messages, and the wisdom that this man has. is just years beyond me, you know? And check this out. He said he doesn't even know how to spell. So why is he even called to write books when he does
Wow.
not know how to spell?
Mm.
And it's because the Lord told him, you know, I'm going to show my glory through your weakness. So embrace it. Don't run
Mm.
away from it. We all
Mm.
have our weaknesses, but that's when God shows up. Another example, I mean, you know, Moses, he had his own story, and he was called to actually lead a movement of 2 million plus people, you know,
Mm.
out of slavery into the land of promise. And when God called him, his biggest excuse was, I can't speak. But what did God do? He provided
Yes.
someone else to speak
Yes.
on his behalf. So really, we don't have an excuse not to share.
Mm. Mm.
We don't, because that's when God backs you up. Like going back
Mm.
to the verse I shared with you, do not worry about what you're going to say when you stand in front of people, for it is the Spirit of God that will speak through you. And I remember, Sheila, like another story I had was I was invited to speak at a youth conference. It was years ago.
Mm.
And as I was preaching in my mind, I'm like, I'm totally bombing this sermon. This is not good. While I was speaking, my mind was telling me, I just want to go home. This is just not turning out great. Like, this is not good. Like, I feel like I was running around in circles with my sermon. I felt like no one was connecting. All of a sudden,
Mm.
I gave an altar call. Dozens of people came up to know Jesus.
Mm.
And I
Wow.
came back
Mm.
down, and one of my friends who I told him, hey, you know what? Like, critique me on this. He said, Katzy, that was the best message you ever gave entire your life. What happened? I'm like, what? I'm like, I felt like I
Yeah.
totally just bombed this
Mm.
thing. But
Mm.
I was reminded, and the Lord spoke to me. He said, good. It's not from your strength. It was me. So I
Mm.
give you the
Amazing.
glory. You're just a conduit.
Mm.
We are actually
Yes.
mouthpieces to share his story.
Mm.
Our story, right, of redemption, of just God working in us, is actually just a conduit of his overall story of what he
Mm.
through weak
Mm.
vessels.
Yes, amazing. I remember in my own time, like when I was in Norway, there was a lot of communication gap because people speak in Norwegian, and
Mm.
I have a hard time understanding what they're telling me. So I was told that I was gonna preach, and I didn't understand that. I arrived there, and
Yeah.
they said, "Okay, go. You're going to preach now." I said, "What?" And I was not prepared at all. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't prepare anything. And the thing is, I'm going to preach, and I have to be translated into Norwegian. I understand a little bit of words, but I could not preach in
Mm.
Norwegian. So I was standing there, and I was like totally nervous and like, Lord, what am I going to speak? Could you just speak from my mouth?
Yeah.
But I realized that was one of the best sermons I ever gave, because in my weakness, I really draw into the Lord and said, "You preach. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be standing here, but you have to, what do you call this? You have to speak from my mouth." And yes, I think that was the best advice you ever gave. And I love the way you said that, uh, even when, like I said, even if your voice shakes, just share your story, just speak. And in your weakness, he is your strength.
Yeah.
Mm. I would like for you to invite everybody. I know you're doing something right now, which is Your Story Matters. Tell us more about it and invite everybody.
Yeah. So basically, I'll be running a challenge on June 1st, which is a Monday. It'll be a
Mm.
5 day challenge with some surprises. So I'm not going to share that yet. But really, my passion is to really help people realize that their testimony actually would shift and influence someone else's world. And so the
Mm.
whole point of Organic Evangelist is to raise up effective communicators of the good news that will that will show it in an authentic, natural yet supernatural way. And
Mm.
so you don't have to be like, let's say you're working in the government sector. you could just simply share your story. You don't have to hand out tracts or yell at people with a sign, right?
Mm.
We're all wired differently, and
Mm.
that's why our story matters. So I'm running a free 5-day challenge. For those of you guys that respond today and actually email me or actually message me here on Facebook, it's $4 normally, but it's special for you guys today. I'm gonna let you guys in for free. If you guys want in for free, message me and I'll get you right in. Starts June 1st. It's a free 5-day training, and I will be going over really the foundation of a gospel storyteller, the foundation of the organic evangelist, going over the framework where I'm going to explain the framework a little bit, where with every house we build, Jesus Christ is a cornerstone, and our foundation is our identity, and our
Mm.
walls are our story and the gospel story together. And then the roof is actually discipleship, evangelism, discipleship. And we're called to actually, I'm going to teach you guys how to replicate that. So we multiply
Mm.
messengers, we multiply storytellers of the good news in our
Mm.
lives. So it is for free, 5 days
Mm.
starting June 1st. So if you
Mm.
want to get in, hit me up today, and I'll get
Mm.
you in definitely for free. So if you are actually struggling to craft your story, or even wanting to tell your story and in a relatable way to this next generation, whether it be through avenues like social media like Facebook or Instagram, and even TikTok, right? You can
Mm.
tell your
Wow.
story through there to reach a whole new audience. Guys,
Mm.
I even want to share with you about TikTok. I mean, I'm not really active on there. I'm learning, but the people like the generation that uses TikTok, right? They're called Gen Z, and it's
Mm.
been labeled that they're the generation of the nuns, NONE', meaning they don't have any religious affiliation. Imagine
Wow.
we come with our story presented in an authentic way, right? And make
Mm.
Jesus attractive through our story.
Mm.
That's a mission field out there. Guys,
Mm.
we need to redeem social media. So I'm going to be training a little
Yes.
bit on that. I have special guest speakers lined up for the training and all that good
Mm.
stuff. So again, it is free for Sheila's viewers. So if you hit me
Mm.
up, and if you tell or share to me that you heard from me through Sheila's show, I will get you in free of charge. Okay, it's almost four
Wow.
dollars, but I'll get you
Yes. Oh, thank you, Katzy. So amazing. Yeah, I'm so touched. I think this is really important. A lot of people think that if you are called to be an evangelist, you don't need training. Like the Holy Spirit is gonna. Yes, that is true. But it's really good if you're prepared. So let me tell you a story about what my experience. I really thought like I don't think I'm an evangelist. I think I am in the there's Moses and then there's Joshua.
in.
Moses is the one like the evangelisting, like delivering people from Egypt to Israel, from the world to the kingdom. I'm like this Joshua generation. Like I like to equip people, not evangelize them. It's like for me, it's so tedious. Like oh my gosh, we have to start with you're a sinful person, So I had a hard time with that. So one time I was in Europe Awakening, Sweden, and Ben Fitzgerald, he's the leader of this movement. He, I think it was on our last day, they hired huge buses and they just drop us in groups. They drop us into the city of Sweden, and we have this tickets to give away, and then we tell people like, hey, you join us in and we're gonna tell them about Jesus. Like we are gonna evangelize people on the street. Oh my gosh! Like Lord, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah,
So the first thing that I did, I was approaching this guy who was biking.
yeah.
I approached him and I actually felt like I feel like I'm prostituting Jesus. I don't know how to approach this guy. I was like coming to him. I was like, hey, do you know Jesus?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
And I was like, Lord, I was really honest. I was like, Lord, I don't know how to do this thing. So I was walking around in circles, and finally I found Burger King, and I said, Lord, please, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna eat burger until the bus the bus leaves. But when I was sitting down there, the people that was sitting with me, I started talking to them in a very chill manner, and it's like, we are this, and then there's this
Yeah.
thing going on in the friends arena. Maybe you want to join us. So I was eating and I was starting to give this, and I think it really is something wherein the Lord actually double. What do you call this? It's a double sword or double, yeah. You
Double-edged
have to
sword.
enjoy also what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's not something that you have to
Right.
really try so hard.
Yeah.
So that was my
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. I mean, evangelism, it should be a delight to share. And it doesn't even have to be approaching people randomly on the streets either. In
Mm,
fact, really, evangelism is all a part of discipleship. Jesus told us to make disciples, not converts. And so discipleship begins at the relationship, not at
mm-hmm,
conversion. So I'm going to go a little bit more into that in the 5-day challenge. So um,
mm.
evangelism is not what we think it is. It's not.
Fantastic. I
Yeah.
think you're the right person to tell us more about evangelism. Um, you can tell us before we close. What is evangelism?
Evangelism is simply announcing the good news, but
Mm,
really my focus, right, like even though the ministry is called Organic Evangelist, it's really about making disciples. So we actually disciple people
mm,
into knowing Christ,
mm.
disciple
Yes.
people after they know Christ. And it
Amazing.
begins at the beginning of the relationship.
Mm,
So evangelism won't be such a pull. It's simply an announcement of good news in whatever
mm,
fashion it is, whether it be
mm,
through relationship, whether it be through social media, where I mean, it still can be, approaching random people, but it's not always like that. Evangelism
mm,
is not cookie cutter. If you look at the life
mm,
of Jesus, he approached sinners and Pharisees in very different ways.
mm.
So
Yes. Hmm. I
that's
think also evangelism. I'm more good at giving compliments to people. I like to see the gold in everyone. So when I meet anyone, even if it's a stranger, I just say hi. You look really nice today, and then I could see them brighten up. Just giving compliment. That is really genuine compliment.
yeah,
I'm not saying like something and it's not true, but I try to look at people and sometimes look at them and find the gold in them. And
yeah,
the other thing that I do is I just randomly smile at them, and I think I have this mindset that the Lord honors even the way, like the way you connect with people, even with just a smile, because you also use discernment when you are what do you call this, connecting with people. You don't just randomly uh so weirdly say hi, but
yeah, yeah,
just smile, and you will be surprised at how people is actually going to respond to you. But very, for me, I think I do well with building a relationship first
yeah.
before anything else.
Yep,
So I think that's really
that's it
awesome.
right there. It's natural, and that's
Mm,
why hence the name organic. Because when you think of
mm.
organic, it's natural, it's non-GMO. So we're
Oh,
introducing like a brand, a kind of evangelism that's natural to the person.
mm. Now I get it. I was kind of like wondering why organic evangelist. So
Yeah,
that was it. So you want it to be really natural. It's like flowing into the gift of evangelism. That's
exactly.
really awesome.
It's
Thank you,
natural,
Katzy.
but yet supernatural. So
Oh yes, oh yes, of course. You have to add the super and the natural.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have any last word for our viewers? I'm gonna close this.
Yeah. So I mean, guys, again, your story definitely has power. It has weight. Don't run away from it, but actually embrace it. And your story can shift someone else's world, just like it
Wow.
shifted your world. So embrace
Mm,
it, and it actually matters, even if you don't think it's dramatic. It doesn't have to be, and sometimes maybe it's too dramatic, but it's okay.
mm,
It really just amplify the redemption aspect of your
mm.
story and always point it back to Jesus Christ. So
Wow. Oh, thank you, Kathy, for being here.
thank you
Thank
for having
you.
me.
Yes,
It's an honor.
our pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for watching Wisdom Talks. The truth is, you are spectacular.
Hey,
Okay, bye.
bye.